guys, if you're new here, my name is Sam and I make videos about makeup, chronic illness, and whatever I want. And today I want to talk about why makeup is boring. I filmed this once already, and the audio was awful. I'm still trying to figure out audio, so bear with me. It has been an issue for many videos. Hopefully I have fixed it. We'll see. I'm going to kind of try to talk about these in an order where they flow together, but we might not be able to do that. Bear with me. We can start with the thing that I think most people are focused on right now, consciously, about why they're finding themselves less interested in makeup and why they're being a little more critical about how interesting it is, and that is the cost. The cost of living in general has increased a lot over the last so many years, but the increase in cosmetics, to me personally, is kind of nuts. A great example here is things that I haven't had to replace in a while, looking at price differences. I'm going to use the Estee Lauder Double Wear, even though they have reformulated this, and I don't plan to use the reformulation. I just think this is a good example for where prices have gone. So when I started using this, it was about $38 or $39 a bottle, and I started using this in 2019. I use a lot of different foundations, but this has always been my holy grail, so I'll never forgive them for reformulating, which that is in this list that we will talk about. Over the years, I've watched it climb. I remember this started getting added to the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, and I think because people who are super into makeup, who have been into makeup for a long time, and professionals, this has always been the gold standard. I mean, I'm wearing it right now and it's just beautiful. But younger audiences and people who are just discovering makeup really didn't know what it was about, so I think they started adding it to the 21 Days of Beauty just to get more eyes on it, especially with Gen Z, but also to move old stock because they knew the reformulation was in the works. Now, the reformulation is also in the 21 Days of Beauty, but that's because everyone hates it and is not buying it. Again, we'll get back to that. There's a cat here. We'll get back to that a little bit later. I believe the last time I purchased this, because I was trying to move through other foundations that I had and that I really love, not during the 21 Days of Beauty, I want to say it was around like $45 to $48. I am not remembering the exact price, but I didn't look at the price right before filming this. The last I saw a bottle of this was at least $52. So let's just go over. I started buying this, and this was my most expensive foundation. It was a lot of money, and it was like $39. I was used to spending somewhere around $28 to $30, so another $10 was a lot back then. And then I remember being very interested in the Tom Ford at some point and thinking $52 for a foundation was just a lot of money, and I really didn't need to do that because there were so many other good foundations like this that were cheaper. So we've seen price increases. Let's use another example, like a MAC lipstick. When I got into makeup, these were, depending on formulation, because some of their formulas cost a little bit more than others, I want to say this was around $16 when I got into makeup. I know they were cheaper at another point. These now are around $25. Now, mind you, when I got into MAC lipstick, it was probably around 2014, so we're talking about a whole decade of inflation. But to make my point here is just that the cost of makeup is getting hard to justify buying frequently, especially if it's just not very interesting. And it hasn't been recently. And when the cost of living of everything goes up, rent, car insurance, car payments, groceries especially, you have a lot less money to spend on makeup. And then when the price of makeup goes up, you have even less. So something has to either be a replacement of your favorite thing or really grab your attention, and brands frankly aren't doing that. From that, I'll move into that these kind of go together. How do I want to go with it? I'm going to start with this one, but they could kind of go either direction. Companies are terrified of taking any kind of risk and making any kind of unique product. This can go back into the cost, because right now brands are trying to make the largest amount of profit that they possibly can. We're in a time period where brands have gotten so ridiculously greedy, it's almost hard to comprehend that rather than continue to make interesting things, it's just brown, brown, brown. I think an amazing example of this is Pat McGrath. I didn't bring anything over here. That's Pat McGrath to show you. So when I first got interested in Pat McGrath, it was because I knew the quality was great and the color stories were just very interesting. They were nudes mixed with colors and then very unique formulas. It wasn't just a regular shimmer. Now, one of the jokes that morphed from a joke into the Achilles heel of this company is the company got bought out maybe twice at this point, I'm unsure, and the people who bought it got very scared of taking any kind of risk. So they got greedy. They wanted to stop making the fun, baked, unique formula of some of the shimmers because it costs a lot of money. And then they got scared of putting a green, a blue, a red, and they just went all in on rosy and mauve shades, which are beautiful and I love them. But when I am looking at $130 eyeshadow palette, I want something more exciting because I can get those shades from anyone. And while the formula of Pat McGrath was, I haven't tried anything recent, I've heard it's not so great anymore, very unique, we already had two. Rose Original, Divine Rose 2. We didn't need more, but that is the loop they have been stuck in. They won't even do like cool browns, which we'll get into the coolness factor in a minute, because I say this wearing cool tones today for a reason. Companies are afraid that if they do something unique and it doesn't interest the largest, if it doesn't interest the largest amount of consumers, they won't be able to make disgusting profit. And we see this in many industries, not just cosmetic. We're seeing it in TV, we're seeing it in movies. That's why everything is a remake or a prequel or a sequel to successful things, is because nobody wants to take a risk. But we see that the risks pay off. Look at indie companies, which will come back around. Things like Half Magic. When it comes to movies, look at the two indie movies by YouTubers, Backrooms and Obsession. They are what people have been craving, and they broke box office numbers because people are looking for something unique. I've heard the resurgence of Marc Jacobs Beauty. The quality isn't there, but people are going nuts over the colors and the packaging just being fun and unique. Brands have just become paralyzed at the thought of maybe losing a few bucks. Moving on to that, any interesting idea they have had, there was this 5-ish year period where companies went too hard too fast. They got too big too fast. They focused too hard on sending PR to the influencers, and the influencers outstayed their welcome with shilling product after product without being able to properly use it or show tutorials for people to learn how to use it, and it just became buy. We'll look at ColourPop real quick. There was a time where ColourPop was releasing a new eyeshadow palette literally every week. Glamlight, while I love them to death, was doing it like once a month. It was too much. You're using all your good ideas way too quickly, and now we're at a time where you have no ideas left. You used them all up. It wasn't even that they were taking risks in unique products during this time. Well, some of them were unique formulas. It was too hard to keep up with, because even when the prices were lower and the cost of living was lower, nobody had money to buy new makeup products 3 times a week. It was just out of control. It seemed like every time you opened your phone, it was every brand you can think of, something new. And you're like, has it even been 2 weeks? It was, I swear, probably half a decade's worth of ideas shoved out into 6 months at one point. And I think that kind of compounds into that we've run out of unique products. Let's go here. I mentioned that brands got a little too invested in influencers, and influencers, I want to say it's just been the last couple of years, but I'm sure it has been longer. It's just been the most obvious in the last couple of years. People are sick of them. If you are going to get on social media and say that you love a product, 9 out of 10 people are going to just ignore you. They won't believe you. They'll be uninterested because these people have just become unreliable and untrustworthy because of endless, undisclosed ads. There was the whole mascara gate, like wearing fake lashes while trying to say it was a mascara. There was just so much. People just can't deal with it anymore. And so, as somebody who is an itty bitty tiny micro creator, I realize that if I say this is my favorite thing in the whole world, like, and it's worth your money, I don't expect anyone to believe me. I just don't. Because even though I am so small and essentially a nobody, you can't trust that I didn't get paid to say a thing. And even if I say I promise I wasn't, you don't know. And it has led into one of the many things that has caused so much negativity in the beauty community and made it hard to be here and enjoy being here, because it just became about links and paying these influencers. Buy this thing, use my link, I promise you'll love it. And 24 hours later, it's like, buy this thing. Actually, this is my favorite. I know yesterday I said this was my favorite, but no, this is my new favorite. And it's like, this literally just came out. How do you know it's your favorite? Or the ones who like try it in the video and it's like, oh, this is my new favorite, and you only wore it one time. We also have the whole FOMO situation. All these companies started making everything limited edition, making it seem like this was the only time you're going to be able to get it. We're never going to bring it back. And then they bring it back. And I'm not saying anything a million people don't agree with me on, but like, I really don't like that. I don't like really wanting a thing, being put in a position where I feel forced to make a decision now, and then it just like comes back. I have, through my no buys and stuff, like gotten over that. It's just like, okay, is this something you actually really truly want, or whatever? And most of the time I don't care if I miss out on it. It's not that big of a deal. Somebody's gonna come out with some kind of dupe or copycat, or they'll bring it back, who knows. And even if they don't, it's who cares? It's just makeup. It's not that big of a deal. People just became burnt out. They're like, I don't even care about makeup because who knows if it's good. Like, you're making too much. These people are just trying to make money off of me, both the company and the influencer. Like, I just don't give a shit about makeup anymore. And I'm going to segue into this next part because I think it goes well. I don't know what I'm saying. Too many people haven't stopped enjoying makeup as makeup, and they have gotten caught up in either the consumption or just the trends. And that has completely removed the creativity from it and made people just jaded, uninspired, or both. I have a few makeup friends who just rarely touch makeup anymore. Or if they do, I have a hair in my eye. They don't post about it anymore because of the makeup community. And like, that's something I'll touch on in a minute. Purchasing. And we lost sight of it makes you feel good, or you just like how it looks, or like me, you like playing with color, it's like paint on your face. Whatever reason you enjoyed it, you lost because you got burnt out from the fact there was a new product being sold to you by companies and influencers every day of the week, and it just didn't feel fun anymore. It felt like you were surrounded by those kiosks at the mall. You're just trying to shop. You're just trying to have a good time, eat your pretzel or whatever. And these people are just in your face. And it's just a lot. And then we all fell into it. When we all fell into the trap of buying more than we need, even if you are using it and you don't, your money, do whatever. We all got caught up in the consumption part of the habit rather than do a no-buy and just start enjoying your product. Some people are like, I'm just disgusted with it at all. I have too much. I look at this and I just see all the things I don't like about it, and I just want to take a step back. And some people still wear makeup in their day-to-day, but it's just very low-key, and it isn't something they think about in the same way that they used to, in the same enjoyment that they used to. I can't tell if it's an eyelash or a hair. It is making my eye water. While we're here, let me just briefly pop in the issue with the beauty community. My issue with the beauty community. It became less fun and supportive, and people showing off the cool looks they created, or collabs, or just sharing their favorite products and just having a good time. And it became somehow political. And I realized there are some people who believe, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, that everything in life is political. That's cool. You do you. You feel that way, and that's fine. But when there were people who are like, this is my hobby, and this is what I use to decompress, like myself, I'm using it to bring joy into a time or a place that maybe is lacking some of it. The world is tough and stressful, and like the beauty community is where I come to center myself and get a break from everything that's happening all day, every day. And now it has seeped in here. Now it has seeped into every hobby, and it was why I took time off of Instagram, is because I don't come here for that. I don't come to my eyeshadow blog to talk about the news, or talk about the president, or talk about international relations, or any of those things, because there are times and places to do that. And when I want my hobby time to relax me and to calm me, having to have those discussions just kind of ruins it. And I think whether people consciously realize it or not, that seeping in, and then it became like like purity testing in a sense of like, I already have this thing and it came out that this owner is like bad for whatever reason. Well, now I'm kind of getting shit for wanting to use up the stuff that I already own, so I'm not made of money. And I think a lot of people became nervous that if somebody found out I used this lipstick from this company and nobody's supporting that company anymore, like they're gonna think it says something about me, when in reality you already had it, and you shouldn't throw away things that are perfectly good, so on and so forth. I think the hobby and the enjoyment of makeup and so many other things, just people weren't having fun anymore. I wasn't having any fun anymore. That's why I quit for a year. And then I came back and realized I can mute stories. I can hide people from my timeline. I can all of that. And it's just kind of like, it is totally fine if there are people in the hobby space who also want to include that kind of stuff. I don't think it's cool to force it on everyone else, because some of us are here to purposely take a break from that reality. And I think between the constant shilling and lying from companies and influencers, removing the using and enjoying makeup and making it all about who has the biggest collection, who buys the most and newest stuff, and then removing the calm, focused only on the hobby situation, it just compounded and people were just like, enough, I can't do this. And a lot of them that I know personally have found offline hobbies, which I have those as well, but that has replaced makeup for them because they just needed a breather. And I get it. When everything online brings in parts of the real world that you just want a mini break from, it's just not fun anymore. Okay, back to some lighter reasons makeup sucks. Let's talk about indies real quick before I get into the other things about like major brands. Indie brands are great, and they are exciting, and they are doing new things, and they are frankly doing some of my favorite things, but there's a cost barrier here. Indie makeup is insanely expensive. I mean, insanely expensive. And because they're so small, they're run by just a couple people, sometimes only one. That means they have to be very focused in the things they create. Totally understandable. Usually it's eye focused. Sometimes you'll add some lips. Sometimes you'll add a cheek product, which makes sense because it's very similar to an eye product. But that's pretty much all you're going to get, which is fine. But that means you can't really replace the brands we're complaining about with indie, because you're just going to have holes. So you're going to have to default back to a MAC, an Urban Decay, a Dior, whoever, because you need to fill those gaps. So the complaints about makeup being boring, or some of these other complaints I'm going to get into, don't apply to the indie community because they don't have the means to create products like foundation, like concealer, because those are huge operations that cost a lot of money. So if you're looking for something interesting that's in the eye or lip world, you could definitely find that in the indie community. But you definitely are going to pay for that uniqueness in formula, color, so on and so forth. Definitely something I like to do when I can do it, but it is, I think, a barrier to the average person. These two go together, so I'm going to read them together. Constant change in formula and ingredient quality decline. Usually those go hand in hand. They're changing the formula and the quality of the ingredients is declining. It can be for a couple of reasons, like ingredient bans, which I have a major complaint about and will mention in a minute. They replace the ingredients that has been banned, not just with something compatible, but something of worse quality. we are seeing the EU ban so many things, and frankly, I don't care the reason. People will talk about the environment or the health or whatever. I've looked into so many of these things, and the studies are microscopic. They are very short, so it's not giving good statistics, and they're just basing their decisions on maybes, and it's incredibly frustrating. My other complaint is, and this is selfish, I don't care that it's selfish, I'm going to go with it. The United States is the largest buyer of cosmetics just because we're one of the largest populations with the most disposable income. We make up most purchasing for brands. So when brands are told, you can't sell in the EU if you use this ingredient. I know it's expensive to have 2 formulas, but when we're buying most of the... my cat is trying to steal foam from under the door. When we're buying most of the stuff, why are you making decisions based off the EU? I understand you still want to sell there, but they're buying the least amount of it. Now, Estee Lauder is a great example. I mentioned their new formulation is in the 21 Days of Beauty because nobody's buying it because it's absolute dog shit. Now they're kind of in a position where they have to sell their foundation at half price because nobody's buying it because they chose to continue selling in the EU. I don't know the numbers, but I can't imagine that's working out well for them. We're going to start seeing it in fragrance. We're seeing it in lip liners. We're seeing it in lipsticks. MAC just did a whole reformulation of their lipsticks. The colors are not accurate. While I've heard the formula is good, the colors are different. Now, we're going to get into color in a minute, but is it related to pigment change, or is it just the ingredient change kind of tweaked the formula unknowingly? They're going to start removing the talc from the lip liners, which means the lip liners aren't going to be as good as they are. That's the reason they stay. That's the reason they're great. And I expect the colors will change as well. It's just very frustrating. Aside from all the bans and that being a formula change, we have turned into this weird obsession of making everything have skincare in it, which is really, really dumb. I can't imagine brands are going, why are you putting niacinamide in a bronzer? It's silly. It's bonkers. Not to mention, a lot of people have bad reactions to niacinamide. It causes acne, and a lot of people, it can cause rashes. And you should only use so much skincare. So people are running into a problem where they're using skincare and then the foundation has skincare in it and they're getting too much and it can cause a reaction. We have to stop. I don't know why they're doing it. I feel like it's a way for them to try to justify why the price increased, because it's not just makeup, it's also skincare. It's just dumb and silly, and I don't like it. So to me, that's an ingredient quality decline, is you feel like you have to make up for a lack of something by adding a bunch of other shit into it, and it's just not working. My last point here, and the most irritating point, goes to the formula changing, is, everything is warm. They're removing cool tones from everything. They're removing it from foundation and concealer. They're removing it from lipsticks, blushes, eye products. Every eye product now you see is warm, except for indies. They're doing it right. It's already kind of difficult for me to find complexion products because I'm neutral olive. So everything will pull, like my bronzer looks in person, it's a little more yellow, but it's kind of orangey. I'll be like, oh, it says this is cool tone. MAC did this. Cool tone, cool teddy or something. And I put it on and it pulls peach. It's not just because of my skin tone, right? Because I'm seeing this everywhere. I got an olive foundation that when it first came out, it matched great. It had this nice cool, had this nice olive tone to it, and now it's orange. Everyone is removing every bit of pigment, and there was a rumor for a while that blue pigment was more expensive, and that's why they were doing it. that is not true. What actually came out is it's just pure laziness. They just want to use one base and just add depth to it. Because I've heard the cool tone girlies are having this problem as well. That things that would pull pink on me because it's too cool in an undertone are now also orange. They don't want to make neutral things. They don't want to make cool tone things. They just want it straight down the board and just make it lighter and darker. And between this and the formula changes, I think we're going to have a really big problem in the beauty industry. I think we're going to see sales plummet more than they already have. I think we're going to see a huge increase in brands shutting down. There's already, I've seen like 2 or 3 brands close in the last month or announce they're closing. And they claim that it's, supply chain issues, tariffs, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that's part of it. But the other part of it is like, people are just fed up. You need to give, you got to stop being greedy. You got to stop being lazy. You got to stop with all these fucking ingredient bans. It's just getting out of control and nobody's happy. I don't want to buy a fucking thing when I know it's going to be orange. It's going to be full of fucking skincare and it's not going to have any staying power because you removed all the ingredients that make it stay on my skin. Why am I going to pay like a wildly inflated price for something that breaks me out and stays on for an hour? And also, look at my pores. Look at my fucking pores. I shouldn't be able to see them because I should be able to have powder that blurs that. But because we have made talc a problem, nothing is blurring anymore. And you can sit here and say their health problems linked to talc, so on and so forth. Fine. Put a warning on it and let people make the decision. We allow people to smoke. We allow people to vape, drink alcohol, all these other things that we know are detrimental to your health. We let people make that decision. But I don't get a decision that instead of smoking a cigarette, I want to use talc powder on my face. I don't get that decision. Somebody else made it for me. It's just making makeup unfun. I don't want to buy it. I dread when I have to start looking for new products because I've run out of what I own. I mean, I already don't have a talc-based powder. Well, I might actually. My RCMA stuff I use for special effects. But like, I need to buy backup lip liners before those get reformulated. And it's just like, I dread the day that I actually have to start replacing things because it's going to suck. It's going to cost too much. And the quality is just going to be poop. And that is my very long-winded rant about why I think makeup is boring. Thank you so much for watching. If you have opinions about why makeup is boring or any of the things that I talked about, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear other people's opinions on it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.